Pinto, good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. This is some serious business. I'm going to get right on into it. We're going to go straight into Baltimore, Maryland. There has been a bridge collapse. After I show you brief commentary and audio video of the bridge collapse, we'll discuss it briefly, and then we'll get straight into the Sebastian Rogers content. I'm going to keep this content flowing until we get justice for this baby boy. I will try to come back on later this evening to continue my conversation about Sebastian. I'd like to play some content from Miss Pat Brown, a profiler, so you can get an idea of her assessment of what she has gathered pertaining to the interviews and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get down to it, everybody. Thank you.
We do know that we do have Army Corps engineer divers are underwater. There are local and national efforts underway. Everyone working together here. Either way, still searching for those construction workers. We also have helicopters overhead. This is still a very active search and rescue mission. Again, I am in Dundalk. This is the media staging area. I have a couple dozen media crews in front of me here, and then this is as close as we can get to where that really drops off. You can possibly see behind me here the Key Bridge. The ship is still stuck right there, all the cargo on board, and then that bridge just looks like the highway to nowhere, as we've been saying. So I'm going to stay on scene here. We're still asking the NTSB, when are we going to find out more about this investigation? It should be in the next hour or so, and when that happens, we'll bring it to you. Back to you.
Yeah, and Tommy, definitely feels like an international story as you go through Twitter and look online. Does it feel the same way when you look at who's covering the story from where you are?
Absolutely. I've heard several different languages being spoken. Some I didn't even recognize here behind me here. And these are all international journalists lining this area. And then we have network crews in front of me. I would say maybe 2 to 3 dozen. It goes back for probably half a mile stretch, and we're in the very front of it.
Yeah. And it will last a while.
Yeah.
Because this is just the beginning, as we said. Over and over again.
Tommy Clark. Thank you. We were looking at that video. I think it must have been archival for the chopper, and we were both saying, you just didn't appreciate how tall that bridge deck was. And this was a big old bridge. You just didn't, you look at it because of how picturesque it is, but it's a serious piece of engineering.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now we're going to go back out to Kate Amara at Fort Armistead. And Kate, in case people didn't hear your last report, can you go over again what you have learned about the people who were on the bridge?
Yes, and of course, this is unconfirmed, and we collectively, as a newsroom, we're working to confirm this information, although who works for Bronner Builders, he said his company had a crew, and that was the crew that was on the bridge doing the pothole repair, as officials described it. He had a list. He was distraught. He had tears in his eyes, and he had a list on his phone of what he said were the 7 crew members: Alex, Julio, Jose, Dorlian, Miguel S, and Carlos H. And he said Julio, he believes, was one of the 2 people rescued, and we were trying to figure out, but wait, there was 8 people. Why do you only have 7? Did you leave someone off? And then through a translator, and my trusty Espanol, we understand he said a state bridge inspector or an inspector with the state is one of the people that was rescued.
Wow.
We're working to confirm that, know if that's true. And Tommy, I heard her at the press conference. She was saying it's very important to know about the vehicles in the water, and she's going to follow up at this upcoming press conference because Jesus told us his friends, the 7 of them that were there, he said there were 6 of them on a bridge in 4 vehicles. He said they were pickup trucks. And he said when he sees the video, he said, quote, "I can see them fall off. I can see them fall in the water. It's very hard for him to watch that video of the container ship hitting the bridge.
Lord have mercy.
And it collapsing. Because
what a debacle.
Those are his friends.
This is horrible.
Falling in the water. So of the vehicles that have apparently been detected underwater, there are vehicles possibly that they know are down there. Hopefully Tommy will be able to ask and get answered. Are those the 4 trucks that this work crew?
I want to pause right here. This is so strange to me. I was just thinking about this probably not even a day ago or two from the Raleigh Strange situation, because, you know, this story centered around the river. Then we find out the young man was in the river. And the first thing came to mind in, you know, wondering what happened to him was looking at the bridges, because that was the storyline, the bridges, the phone pings. And one question I had was, how are the bridges sustained? How do they put these boulders, metal, concrete, whatever in the water? Then I think of bridges that are wooden bridges. And I always think, well, those are usually, you know, bridges that only hold so much weight, and, you know, like what you see in small towns or back roads or rural areas. But that's what came to my mind. How do they build the bridges? How do you sustain the bridges in the water? I thought about that when I was in New Orleans 2 years ago, coming up 3 years ago, excuse me. The bridge they redone for Lake Pontchartrain, a lot of water. And I wanted to go across that bridge, you know, so I could go to some other cities to visit, but I didn't get the opportunity. And that was one of the things that crossed my mind once I saw the bridge redone and pictures. And I thought, oh my God, look at all that water. Look at how long the bridge is. How is the bridge made? How does the bridge stay, you know, afloat? How does it stay above the water with so much traffic? The safety of the bridge, the building of the bridge, all those things were in my mind 3 years ago, coming up 3 years ago. And then, as I said, with this Raleigh Strange story, it was on my mind a couple of days ago about how do bridges stay intact? How are they staying in the water? And I be damned. I get up, and here's this story of a bridge collapse. Barge hit this bridge, and I mean, that thing, cargo ship, whatever you want to call it, it's stuck in there. It's stuck in there. You can see the picture. It's stuck. This is so horrific. Prayers to the families of the victims. God bless the ones who were able to be saved. But this is so horrible. And we take a lot for granted in life, never knowing what is going to happen. Because I always say, you can walk out your door, you don't have to be bothering anybody, you don't have to be doing anything malicious to anyone, and you can meet your fate in a multitude of ways. And this is horrific. I can't even imagine what they were going through, what they were thinking when that bridge was hit. The sheer horror on their faces while that bridge is collapsing and they fall into the water.
Had on the bridge and was using at the time. Jesus said he works for this company. He said these were his friends. And he said, we asked him, and he was just doing this work, he said, about a month ago, and we asked, what is it like? Is it scary? He said, it is scary. He said, the bridge goes like this. On a good day, it goes up and down. He said, it's precarious. We asked, did you ever think it would be?
Yes.
You see the cargo ships come by.
From the weight of the cars.
Never in a million years, my paraphrase, thought one would hit the bridge and it would collapse. And just a note, I know this is a city that's built around the port, and we have Annapolis too. There's a lot of sailors out there and boaters. And I know from that community, everyone who has a boat and takes it from the inner harbor out into the bay, they know about this bridge. It's part of it. It's on the maps. There's a way, whether you have a tiny sailboat or a big motorboat, there's a way to get around and through the Patapsco and get under the bridge correctly. So it does leave a lot of questions about, obviously a container ship is cargo ship's a lot bigger than a 29-foot sailboat on your sailboat, but by the same token, if this is your job and you do this, you know that there's a path, there are maps, there are buoys, there's ways to go and ways not to go. And it's just daunting that a ship like that could hit one of the pylons and it could take it out. So that's a question I'm sure is going around in the boating community today as well, because it's just, it was interesting when I saw some of the video from Sky Team 11 today, you could see some of the boats. This was earlier. You could see that there was boats around in the water. And by the way, speaking of, the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard has a station just down the road here. We're on, I keep forgetting, Fort Smallwood is where Hawkins Point Road turns into Fort Smallwood. And the Coast Guard station maybe a quarter mile down the road. Although we haven't seen any Coast Guard vehicles go in and out. We have seen a lot of blacked out windows of very important looking SUVs and undercover kind of law enforcement vehicles go in and out. So we know that people are assembling for this press conference that's supposed to take place. But this is something that people in the community, even if they don't know someone who was working on the bridge.
What was on that ship that hit the bridge? I'm trying to understand, how did you hit the bridge? This is about to be a fine mess. The person operating, as you can see, oh Lord, I'm trying to understand. Did you not know your clearance? You're supposed to know your clearance. You're supposed to know the clearance of a bridge. Were you paying attention? Were you asleep? Are we going to find out the person was inebriated, passed out? What is the shape of the person who is operating this cargo vessel? What was on the ship? What was this person's, what were they carrying?
Or ever did. We talked to people here who, this one, Elizabeth told us her father commutes over the bridge every morning, every night. He wasn't feeling well today, so he was going to go into work late. And then I didn't go in. It could have been me. So there are people who use this as a commuting route. It's a workaround if there's traffic in the tunnels. This community lives out.
That's a better view.
Another thing
that gives you a better view.
Where we are at Hawkins Point.
Let me pause while she's talking, because sometimes I hate when they're talking, trying to concentrate on the visual. Here's a better visual with a little more light, so you can get a good bullseye view of the vessel. There you go. Cargo ship. As you see the bridge sitting on the right there on top, the front of the cargo ship. Better view for you. And you hear somebody's parent was supposed to cross that bridge this morning, but for whatever reason they didn't go across. How is that? This is just so bizarre to me. I promise you, I was just thinking about bridges, as I said, because of the Raleigh Strange story. The durability of bridges, the capacity of the weight they hold every day with cars, trucks going on top of them. How do you make the bridge, build the bridge? I still don't even know how you really sustain a bridge in water, because you can't stand in the water and make the bridge. I've always been curious. And I guess I'll have to do a little more research, because this is scary. Because we all go over bridges every day, going from town to town, bureau to bureau in major cities such as New York, going out of one city into another city. We cross bridges every day and don't even think about what could happen if the bridge collapsed. And why would you want to think about that? You wouldn't. That's a scary thing to think about. And there are a lot of people who are afraid to go over bridges. I myself am afraid of water. So this right here is enough to send the queen screaming. Because I already know I ain't going to make it. That's why a lot of people drown, because they panic. And then, of course, there are many people who swim and fall into water and they drown for whatever reason. This is scary as hell. So now let's ask that question. The people who perished, could they swim? I don't know if we'll ever find that out or not, but just curious.
It encompasses multiple counties. Where it happened to be in Baltimore City, but Anne Arundel and Baltimore County are just on the other side of the line. And one last thing that I keep thinking about today is this is not Baltimore's first time dealing with a cargo ship that's been stuck in our harbor. I was trying to remember the Ever Forward. Remember, it ran aground back in 2022, and that happened just down the coastline, just down the coastline southwest of here, just a few, not far from here, ran aground. It was stuck there for 40-something days before it was pulled out. So it made me wonder, how long is this container ship, cargo ship, going to be stuck here in the middle of the Patapsco for all of us to see? That Ever Forward, I believe it was a Maersk as well. I'm trying, my brain, it doesn't work so well.
No, it was a
that one
spectacle.
was just, it was just outside Craig Hill Channel. And I remember you could see it was John Downs Park in Pasadena.
Okay.
And I had that image of people watching that from that fishing pier. And that's what people are doing today, looking at this one.
Yeah, I'll confess, I rode my bike out on the pier to go watch because it was a sight to be seen. We're standing by, Kate. We're waiting to hear from the White House right now, so we may interrupt as you do talk. But she's talking about the rippling of the bridge, and Corrigan does that run walk, I believe, every year, and that's what some of the runners say, that on a breezy day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And then it's frightening in and of itself, just being there with it,
Right, exactly.
up and down, for sure.
And one other thing, okay.
You're
I
gonna
had
say
one
that.
other question. I was hoping somebody could, with the Ever Forward, there was environmental concerns, contamination, there was fuel, and that has to be a concern here.
Absolutely.
With the ship that's here. I thought I had read earlier there may have been some sort of breach in the hull. Who knows what was in the containers, if any fell off. I haven't been able to see enough of the pictures to study it very well, but I'm curious now if they, in addition to trying to stabilize the ship and the structure so they can do more, if they set up those buoys to try and contain whatever sort of hazard may be coming from or being emitted from that ship. Remember they had to dredge around the Ever Forward before they could tug it out.
Exactly, yeah. We certainly don't want the situation to be worse by having a hazmat situation.
And Wiedefeld was saying today, I think that first press conference, he was saying that when you looked at the integrity of the ship, it seemed to be all intact. Like that wasn't even the scoop of what they were worried about at the time. But the engineers that Dave Collins had, I mean, just to hear them in awe, if an engineer is in awe of something going awry, then it really, it got their antenna up.
Again, we're waiting for the president to speak any moment now. But let's go to Deb. Yeah.
So listen to this, guys. On Saturday, March 23rd, marked 47 years since the Key Bridge was launched, since it was built. So they started building it in 1972. They finished in 1977, and it opened on March 23rd, 1977. So we're within days of the anniversary.
Very scary. That's scary.
It was about $110 million to build this bridge, 4 lanes on the bridge.
March 26th.
We're back now, and we're trying to just.
How strange is that? We're 3 days from the anniversary. Today's March 26th. The anniversary was March 23rd, 47 years ago. Maybe the universe is trying to tell us something. I don't know. But it is ironic. Have this scenario happen. Lord have mercy. As you're hearing things about fuel and contamination and perhaps possible things, parcels falling off the boat, don't know. I'll bring all that information to you later when I get an update, but just playing you a little bit of this information coming out of Baltimore, Maryland. For those of you who are curious, a bridge has collapsed.
Literally reconstruct this bridge in our head because it is gone now. So as you know, it crosses the tidal portion of the Patapsco River, and it is what up until this day, perhaps we took for granted.
Exactly.
We took for granted.
Exactly.
The key role it plays for us economically, transportation. There's just so many layers to it. I'm stumbling with my words still because despite the fact that I saw this hours ago and we all woke up to this, it is still so hard to fathom that it is gone and that it came down so quickly. Again, we are waiting a press conference at 1 o'clock here from local officials, but we're also waiting. We know President Biden is going to deliver remarks on the collapse of this bridge from the Roosevelt Room as he continues to monitor the situation from the White House. So You know, I don't recall, guys, and you guys have been in this market a long time as well, the last time that the President of the United States was commenting on a catastrophe in our very backyard. Right, guys?
Oh, that either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not at all.
Not at all.
We were just talking, I don't know if you were able to hear the sound, Deb, from Dave Collins. There's a professor from Drexel.
Yeah.
And just like he was just so amazed. He says, listen, the strike comes and just sort of fell. And I think not even he was anticipated.
No.
Yeah.
It strikes you, right? The speed.
Yeah.
It crumbled.
Right.
It crumbled.
And it's right in front of your eyes. Like we don't have any. I guess that's the way the digital age is. We don't have any questions because someone's always rolling video, and you
Yeah.
can just see it just drop.
Well, and just also, you know, as you've been focusing on this morning, just the difference that it just veering off course. I mean, it's still,
Look at that.
obviously it was 100
Always
still
somebody with a
away.
camera or something rolling when
Just
something
veering off
happens.
course a few degrees, when
Of course, never when someone's missing.
Causing this
Look at that.
catastrophe. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way.
Wow, wow, wow.
And you just feel
Wow, wow,
so
wow.
heartbroken for the loss.
Lord have
And
mercy.
we don't know yet. for
Look
the
at
loss. I've
that.
heard some of the names from some of the crew members.
Jesus
that
wept.
Kate has been.
Oh my goodness.
talking
I can't
about.
imagine.
But I was also struck, and I know we have
Jeez.
these remarks. I was really
In the dark.
struck by the chaplain.
A lot of lights, but
there
still
and
dark.
The job that he has to pastor to people who are in
Wow.
such pain right now.
This
So
is terrible.
we'll take maybe take a listen to what he had to say, just in terms of what his role is and what this moment is for him.
Yes, a nightmare come to life. Exactly.
But if we can, but Deb, you bring it up. We did a story not too long ago with a similar group, and what they do is they go to ships as people come into port and sort of help them acclimate. Listen, you're going to be spending some time here, help you go find shopping or help you go find a movie theater to take your mind off of things. And it's just another one of those things you take for granted because you figure they park the ship, they load stuff on, they get out of town. And they at least give you that sense of family. I feel like that's what the chaplain is offering.
Yeah, and interesting, you mentioned 8 crews are stuck, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're going to need a lot of support as well.
Right.
Okay, so now we're talking about crews. These are men working. Don't know if there are any women working. Obviously, they're not from the area, so perhaps they are from somewhere else. So imagine if they were in their own vehicles into the water. It's just a lot to digest. It's just a lot to digest. And as you heard the reporter say, we take a lot for granted, and we do. Because as I said, you don't know how you're going to leave here. You don't know if you're going to be in a terrible accident. You walk out your door, you're not thinking, that you're going to be in a car crash or something falls off a building, or you're going to be crossing a bridge and a bridge collapse, or, anything can happen to you once you walk outside your door. And this is horrible because I always wonder, my mind wonders a lot. When something terrible happens to a person, what were they thinking about that day? What was their day like? What did they do that day? And I'm sure many friends and family members are going to be thinking that about the people who perished in the water. What were they doing? What were they thinking? What were they going through at the time? Did any of them not want to go to work that day? You always wonder that, especially with plane crashes. You start to wonder. And also, I believe a small plane has fallen here in Knoxville, crashed in the river. I saw that update before I came on live. I do not know if anyone has perished, but right here in Knoxville, Tennessee, a plane has gone down, small plane has gone down in the river. Ooh, Lord have mercy, it's always something. But anywho, prayers for Baltimore, the people who have perished, family members, friends, crew. Prayers for those who are going to have to work to get these vehicles out of the water. So we have to pray for those people, the rescue teams, the people who are able to save anyone in the water, I guess a supervisor or whomever. Oh, mercy. We have to now pray for the safety of the people who have to now go back in to do all the recovery work, recovering of this bridge, putting the bridge back up. That's also another thing to think about. Who the hell wants to go back in here to work on a bridge? So that's another thing. Okay, we do all this work, get this stuff out the water. these items out of the water, get this cargo ship moved. Now, we got to put this bridge back up. Imagine that. Who wants to do that? Who wants to be the lucky persons? The few, the brave, to go back on top of that water and start this process again. Something to think about.
I think he really spoke to the humanity of this moment. I mean, because when we see those ships, right, all we see is containers.
Right.
We can't visually see the crew, and those stories will be coming out as the day goes on. We do have that sound from the minister. He certainly can express it better than I can. Let's take a listen.
Whenever something traumatic happens, often it takes some time for the other shoe to drop, for us to realize what we've just been through. And the same is true for seafarers. They may not have come to the realization yet that they're going to be stuck here for a while. The ones that will be on board the ships that are in port right now, they have no way of knowing how long they'll be on board. Some of them won't be able to leave the ship at all. Don't forget about the people that so often go unseen.
Exactly.
The men and women that move the world.
Exactly.
And they're so easily forgotten. They work in very lonely circumstances.
Exactly.
And you just don't really appreciate them. I think that recent struggles with supply chain issues and otherwise has brought them more to the front of our sight. But we need to remember that there are people on board these ships and that they matter.
Notion of the unseen, and certainly right now crews are looking for those individuals. So you have the unseen that are on board and stuck on board the Dolly, which was embarking on its journey to Sri Lanka, and you have the unseen in those waters somewhere as crews continue to search for these individuals and as their families await word. Again, we know that there was
Exactly.
a crew working on the Key Bridge, fixing potholes, doing what I'm sure they've done millions of times before, and now we continue to look for them and hope that this can end better than it seems at this moment.
Yeah. And what he said about the men and women who've moved the world for us,
Yeah,
it really puts it in perspective,
Yeah.
because that's exactly what they do.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Something telling me, you're saying, when was the last time the president had something to say about something in Baltimore? We were both sitting here, and then he says, well, what do you think the White House is going to talk about? And I said, well, surely it's Israel and that meeting, that the Come to Jesus meeting. I said, or maybe it's Ukraine. And then, you
Yeah.
forget the moment that you're in.
Right.
And you forget that this is
A big deal.
This is a
Adult
national
country,
thing. It's
yeah.
a nationwide thing that affects folks. And so for Baltimore, one of the busiest ports in the United States, and especially here on the East Coast, to lose that asset, the world loses that asset. So it's understandable the weight that it carries.
And his emphasis on infrastructure.
Yes,
This is going to be something that he's going to be talking about,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there is a push to make it safer in this country.
Yeah, so we're waiting on two things. We're waiting on the White House, which
Yeah.
should be momentarily. Also waiting on NTSB. That's where Tommy Clark is this morning to hopefully fill in some of the blanks. But right now, I think one of the most telling reports that we've had, I think you both would agree, came from Kate as she was talking to people who knew the names.
Yeah.
Yes.
And knew the
Gentleman
whereabouts.
she noticed was in distress,
Yeah.
and he didn't speak a lot of English. She remembered enough of their Spanish and was able to communicate with him and realize that these are his friends.
Yeah, painted the picture. I mean, it was
Yeah,
something
it was
else.
incredible.
I think we're hearing a
Tommy Clark. Yeah,
is standing
Tommy.
by now.
Hey guys, so we're still waiting on the NTSB here. The White House is going to speak first, and we will then hear from the NTSB here. They've been switching around times a little bit, but we are waiting. This happened earlier with the last press conference with Governor Moore. It happened about 45 minutes late, so it's no surprise it could be a little late, but we will be on it when it happens. The latest update we have is still those 8 people who had to be rescued. 6 they're still searching for. 2 have been rescued, so 8 total, 2 rescued. 1 is at shock trauma and serious condition. The other one refused treatment. All 6 more people they're searching for right now. They have dive teams underwater.
You refuse treatment. Honey, Lord have mercy. Let them check you out, because you're probably going to be traumatized after this. Let those people check you out. I've never heard of such. Well, the person that refused treatment, well, where did you find that person? Please help me understand, because now I'm utterly confused. The person that refused treatment, where did you find this person? Were they in the water? On top of the barge? You know? Help the queen understand, because I'm confused.
Looking for vehicles as well, because as I've been saying, I asked in a press conference earlier, and no reply when it came to how many vehicles, if any, were on that bridge. That is the big question at the moment. So we're waiting to hear that, but when the NTSB gets here, they'll be talking about the national investigation going on here, because we do have workers on site. They're looking at the structural, if there were any concerns with this bridge, and that will go hand in hand with the NTSB. Again, we're told those workers, the ones they've been searching for, they were fixing potholes on the bridge here. Our Kate Amara has been learning more details about when it comes to these people that were on the bridge that we know that they are searching for. Again, this is a local and state, even federal level response, everyone working together. And this is still, at the moment, a search and rescue operation. You can see possibly just a little bit behind me here. This is the edge of the media staging where we're allowed to be. I'd say about a half mile in front of me, there are more crews from around the world here. But behind me here, this is just the edge of where the Key Bridge broke down and collapsed. You can see possibly that cargo ship just off my shoulder there. There are some journalists right there, so you may not be able to see it, but the cargo ship is just behind me here. I'd say about a mile away from where we are at the moment. It's still stationed there. So of course we're going to stay here. We're going to see if there are any updates we can get. As soon as the NTSB arrives, there's a podium just in front of me here. We will head over there. For now, back to you guys.
Yeah, we were just saying, Jen was there this morning. She painted that picture. It's really interesting. She says it's kind of eerie because you look down the road, it's sort of like an aircraft carrier.
Right, it goes up, and then there's sky.
Nothing else left. And then to see how close the cargo ship is to you, just remarkable.
It's surreal just to see when I walk, I can walk a little bit closer when I'm off camera and take a look at it. It doesn't look real in the distance. The fact that the Key Bridge just stops and nothing is there. I mean, you look down and you can see that cargo ship with all the containers just sitting there. So of course we're waiting to learn more about the crew that was on that boat, who was on the bridge. I mean, there's so many questions at this point. They've told us what they can, but a lot of the answers are it's too early to tell. So this next press conference, this is the third one. We should be getting some more concrete answers because this search and rescue has been underway for hours and hours, guys.
Yeah. Another interesting image is pieces of the bridge laying across the vessel.
Yeah.
It's almost like
exactly.
Like it just rested.
Exactly.
Right
Oh. We'll take you back.
That's how you know how low the bridge was.
I mean, if you can just see it just
The bridge was obviously low.
For some reason, working a night shift.
I don't understand how in the world they did not know clearance.
So that gave us a good timeline. When this ship leaves, it's on its way to Sri Lanka.
So I believe they said the ship was going to Sri Lanka. So right now it's not going anywhere. What will we hear about the person operating this vessel? What will we hear about the operator, status of the operator, what the operator was, who is he, she? What were they going through? Were they paying attention? Because I'm trying to understand how you would not know about the clearance. That is the one thing that is troublesome. And what will happen to this person if they have survived? What will happen to this person's position? A lot of questions, The status of the missing, which most people use deduction that they probably will not survive because this is hours later. It's now daylight, new day. The status of the person driving this vessel. Did they fall asleep? What happened? Were they reading? Were they texting? What happened? Under the influence of any type of drink or drugs? Or just wasn't paying attention? I don't know. Just curious.
It did all the normal things, but at some point, I think she marked it at 126 or so, just starts to veer off course and continue to veer right into that pylon. And unbeknownst to them and unbeknownst to the crew on the deck there, they're working, and here comes the ship. They were working on repavement, right where you see there, right in that area, repaving the bridge deck. And that's where we got that number for potholes.
Right.
Yeah, that's where we got that.
Working on the bridge. They were working on the potholes.
That we haven't completely confirmed, but
How
you can see
scary
it
is that?
on social media, where the power goes out.
Yep.
And it comes back on.
Lord have mercy.
The power goes out again, right by the bridge.
Yeah.
A lot of lights were on in the area.
Quick thinking. Mayday call goes out, and I guess what we've been learning is that
And the bridge goes down.
from the bridge, or
Lord have mercy.
That call and prevent any of that
What a disaster.
coming across. Now, the gentleman who says he knows some of the workers, he deduces that perhaps the vehicles you see there are those workers on a break.
Sitting in their
those
trucks.
vehicles. Yeah, and you can kind of make out some flashing lights. It was on the right-hand side there, but these are guys and women making a honest buck,
Right.
paving
Just
the
doing their
roadway.
job.
No idea that this is
Right.
Exactly.
They said they see cargo ships all the time.
And
This
didn't
wasn't
take
a
anything of
hazard.
it. Right. 6 people still missing.
6 people
One
still
person with
missing.
shock trauma.
What
And then
happened?
one person,
Lord have mercy.
Did not need
So horrible.
hospital aid.
Mhm.
But we haven't heard anything more about. They're actively working divers in the water for hours and hours now,
Yeah.
looking for.
And prayers for the divers.
People who are still missing.
Prayers for the divers. I'm not going to hold this story long. I'd rather come back later because I'm on crunch time today. So I'm going to veer off of this and get to the story that I intended to bring, because this was a happenstance story, but I will bring you an update pertaining to this. I'm not going to sit around for the NTSB and Mr. Biden. No offense, I'm just right now I'm on crunch time because I had my other plan for Sebastian, because there's something I need to get out about the Sebastian case. Last night I was live for 3+ hours. Please check out that content. Chop it up at your convenience. This story is spinning out of control with Sebastian Rogers. I brought to you information last night during the live that the PROUFOOTS have stopped speaking to SETH Rogers, the biological father of the boy. Why? I chopped all that up last night for 3+ hours, and I also did a live before that. I'm going to continue covering this. I'm going to continue talking about this because there is some funky BS going on with these people. You have proven to me you know something about this child. You've done something to this child, because this makes no damn sense that you have stopped speaking to the father, Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot. You have moved on kindly, packed up your camper to go out into the world, which is your damn business, but you got a whole baby missing. You got a whole autistic kid missing, and now you're not talking to the father, and they have not been talking to the father for 2 weeks. Let's get down to business, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. We're going to chop it up. I'll have to come back on this tragedy out of Baltimore because I'm pressed for time. This is utter BS. Utter BS about this kid. Let's chop it up. Hold on. Prayers for Baltimore, everybody. Let's start with them not speaking to him. And then we'll talk about the fact that he still has hope for his child being alive. Does he really believe his son is alive? Or he just doesn't want to say on a camera he believes foul play. Seth, how do you really feel? Because you have to know that something's not with the Proudfoots not talking to you. This is BS.
Car, his shoes are still by the front.
Hold on 1 second, everybody.
Okay, so now for more on the search for the teen and the concerns about what may have happened to that boy, we're joined by Seth Rogers, Sebastian's father. Seth, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so sorry for everything you're going through. We want to get the word out about Sebastian. Hasn't gotten enough national attention. Sebastian, I want to be clear, was with his mom and stepdad when he disappeared, but you're very close to Sebastian. Do you have any idea what may have happened here?
I haven't been, I don't know. I mean, I got a phone call and a text message that I received after I got off of work stating that I needed to give the stepfather a call. I called him and he was like, Sebastian's missing, don't be upset or anything, but you need to come to the house. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't seen him in over a month. I've been out here looking for him.
Seth, I mean, what do they think happened? I mean, could he really have just walked away like that? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. His shoes are still by the front door. His switch was there. His in the kitchen. It just didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and I still can't figure it out. I've been looking everywhere. Been handing out flyers. Been just trying to keep up hope, and I've reached out to United Cajun Agent to sit there and see if they will help me, and they answered my call.
Yeah, one thing I couldn't understand is why they were telling people not to search at one point. I mean, the shift went to the landfill. It was this investigation, and they're telling people not to search. I couldn't make sense of that. I mean, it made me wonder, do you have any indication that investigators may know that something bad happened here?
They haven't told me anything, and they told people not to search, but I've been searching since that Monday. I can't just sit around and not do anything.
Yeah, I understand. I would be doing the same exact thing as you, and I think everybody around America would be, and their hearts go out to you. Have you talked to Sebastian's mom, stepdad? You mentioned you had that conversation when they said, he's gone missing, but have they been able to give any more information?
I haven't spoken to them for at least 2 weeks. They're not talking to me.
There are reports that they have packed up an RV and left the house that Sebastian disappeared from. Any idea why they would do that?
I have no idea. I have no information. They weren't talking to me, so podcasts that they were showing that horrified me.
What do you mean?
What are you speaking of, Seth? What has horrified you? The behavior during the interviews with these YouTubers? What do you say? What you mean? What are you speaking of? Because they're not talking about your son. Is that what you mean? Their behavior, which leads you to think that they didn't treat your child well. What do you mean?
Were they on podcasts or? I'm sorry. I know this is upsetting, but I just want to understand.
They were going on podcasts, and it was like, it's supposed to be about Sebastian. They wanted to talk about themselves. I don't get that. We need to get Sebastian's face out to everybody. Have them looking for Sebastian. This isn't about me. It's not about his mom. It's not about his stepdad. This is about Sebastian. He needs to be found.
Have they been searching at all? I mean, I know you're out there right now. Have his mom and stepdad been out there too?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I haven't seen them. They've not been where I've been handing out flyers or searching. So I couldn't tell you what they've been doing.
I mean, Seth, I'm glad we have the picture up. He looks like such a nice young man. And I mean, would he ever leave barefoot? I know that's something that's perplexed some people. And even people who have children on the autism spectrum have been perplexed by that. Does that make any sense?
It doesn't. It does not make any sense. If he knew he was going to go out walking or anywhere in the yard or whatnot, he would put on socks and shoes.
Let me iterate here. Thank you all so much for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. People show you what they're made of. That's why the saying is talk is cheap, because talk is cheap. You can tell anybody anything you want. It's up to the person to decide if they want to believe what you're saying to them. This is everyday occurrence, even when it has nothing to do with true crime. People are people. People lie, people cheat, people manipulate, people con, people grift, people talk shit. And that's what has happened with these Proudfoots. Talk is cheap. They have shown you now, if you are following this story closely, they have shown you, and Mr. Seth, they have shown you what they are made of. You finally know now who you have been dealing with as far as this woman that you laid down and made a child with. She is finally now, if you didn't know, maybe you just don't really want to tell us the truth or what you really think of these people, but you now know. You may never say it on a live broadcast, but you finally know who you have been dealing with. And the fact that now Chris, with his bobblehead ass, has decided to call this man the bio dad, bio father, he is telling you what he thinks of Seth. This is why I keep telling people, you have to pay attention to how people talk. They tell you what they mean. They tell you what they mean. They have been separated from this child. Stay woke. They have been separated from Seth. They probably have always had problems. Stay woke. It just wasn't a news story. You didn't know them. You hadn't heard of them. And now you have. They have distanced themselves from the child. That was the plan all along. Checkmate. That's why they packed up. They wanted to be free. Please listen to what I'm saying to you. It is obvious. When you watch the Nancy Grace podcast from last night, everything you need to know about the Proudfoots was revealed during that interview. If you can't see it, God help you. They have distanced themselves from the child. 9 times out of 10, the child is not alive. They unalive this child, I do believe. I'm going to go on and say it. And if I am wrong, I will apologize. I don't have a problem. But that is the feeling I'm getting from the podcast. Okay? The stumbling of words, stumbling, and they can't decide if they're working, not working, going to work. Now we're going to search. Which is it? That podcast was all over the place last night. This is why I said they are stupid and they're dodo birds. Only a fool would talk to Nancy Grace. Only a fool. But some people want them to talk because they feel like, oh, they'll trip up eventually, and they did. You should have never talked to that woman last night because you were all over the fucking place talking about this kid. And the thing you did not do is talk about Sebastian ever once. You never interrupted Nancy to say, hey, we get it. But we love this kid. We want him back. We miss him. I miss his smell. I miss the way he talked. I miss the way he walked. I miss the way he laughs. See, a real parent would have jumped in, saved themselves, because you all was sinking sand last night. That's my child. We love him. We care for him. You never even mentioned what you like to do. You should have interrupted Nancy and told her, hey, lady, let me tell you something. We miss this kid. We miss going to the park, to the zoo, traveling, taking trips. You let Nancy run you down like a fucking lawnmower. And it worked.
You had a horrible experience as a child with fire ants. You learned. It's always socks and shoes or at least something on your feet to protect you from what's on the ground.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to join and...
Somebody in the chat is saying, why not let him go to the father? It's called damage control. I keep saying this to people. You've got to stop thinking as a person for yourself. You have to think of people who are disconnected, have no empathy. I don't want the kid. And I don't want to be tied to the kid. Your reasoning is, oh, just give the kid to the father. Give the kid to the state. Give the kid Pookie, Ray Ray, whomever. No. I don't want no ties, period. I don't want nobody thinking I don't care for the kid. See, they are working on self-preservation. That's why they're talking so much. Your logic is give the kid to the father, be done with it. But she doesn't want to walk around the earth knowing she has a whole child that she's not seeing, she's not talking to, she's not going to get for the weekend. So if this man gets custody of the child, okay, let's just say the child is here. He goes and lives with the father in the summertime. Eventually, it is going to be expected that Katie interacts with the child. See, nobody's paying attention. She don't want to connect. Ding, 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 ding. She knows people are going to be watching her. Well, she doesn't call him. She doesn't visit. She doesn't come get him for the weekend. She's worried about her image, same as Chris. So if I get rid of the whole child, I don't have to worry about putting on a front to care. I don't have to act anymore. That's my assertion of this case. Could I be wrong? Of course. Could it have been an accident? She got to fighting with the little boy. He got to fighting with the little boy. I don't know. He claims he wasn't there. You don't really know what's the truth because you got to have verification. And there's nothing that is verified that Chris was not at that damn house. As far as he and her being vetted, that don't mean shit either. When I heard from law officials that you two are cleared, then I'll believe it. Until then, words are cheap. And he knows the police are never going to tell you anything. He's very smart. He knows exactly what he's doing. That's why he keeps talking. Number two, as far as what has happened with he and his other wives and children and that New Mexico junk and DHS, he knows you will never know the truth about that either. Because there's always two sides to the story and the truth. And he knows DHS will never talk. He knows exactly what he is doing. He is playing a dirty game of chess if you are paying attention. They know exactly what they're doing. Let's talk about the searches pertaining to the young man. WKRN News is my second source. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL, everybody. Brief intermission.
Weeks, first responders searched about 2,000 miles trying to locate Sebastian, but they found no sign of him. Now, that's when they decided to scale back those efforts, but the TBI emphasized that does not mean they're giving up on the Sumner County teen. They say much of the work currently being done to bring him home may not necessarily be public or visible. There is still an active Amber Alert for Sebastian, who has autism. Navy has since deployed resources in Sumner County to help locate Sebastian. As of right now, the disaster response organization is working independently of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. They used Monday to form a game plan where people in the community could participate in that search. Any volunteers can visit the United Cajun Navy's search headquarters at 90 Volunteer Drive at 10 o'clock this morning for a safety briefing. That is in Hendersonville. You can help them out by bringing water bottles, sports drinks, and snacks. Now, Sumner County Commissioner Don Schmidt spoke out during last night's commission meeting. He emphasizes the importance of not letting Sebastian's case fall through the cracks.
I think a lot of us thought, well, he just wandered off. You know, he's going to come back. So I made some notes because I'll be honest with you, this is like really, it's tugged on my heartstrings. I mean, I lost sleep over it because I have a son that's the same age as Sebastian. Our law enforcement from the Sheriff's Department has done a great job. I went to the command center. They want Sebastian found probably more than at some, if that makes sense. They're invested in this.
Now, we reached out to the TBI for comment. They say they have no update at this time. However, they encourage everyone to keep checking their surveillance cameras and their properties for any evidence of Sebastian Rogers.
Okay, thank you so much. Once again, everybody, a bridge has fallen in Baltimore. I will get back to that story later on. I have a lot of updates to bring to you, and it takes up so much time in a live stream to talk about so many stories, but sometimes I do the videos and the content with several stories in the video because it's easier to just go live and go on for however long it takes to get the content out and let you all talk in the chat. But the next live will probably be a lot of stories so I can chop it all up at one time and be done with it because I want to talk about Puff Diddy. I got to talk about Ruby Frankie. I still need to bring you the Menendez brothers story. There's a lot of stuff I want to chop up. But right now, I want to get the Sebastian business out of the way. Let's go to the third source. The father still has hope that his child is alive. News Channel 5 is the source. As you see, it is only Seth Rogers out here navigating with local news broadcasts to talk about his son. These nimwits refuse to talk to the news. Why? I don't understand. They want to sit up here and fucking YouTuber with a pulse, but not the damn news. Why not? Oh, but Nancy Grace found you. You talked to her, and you sat up there looking like two ducks out of water, sitting up here like two school kids on punishment, standing in the corner while Nancy Grace grilled you. You two have got to be the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life, besides the two nimwits in Rogersville, Tennessee. Just stupid as hell. And Summerwell's case is similar, reminiscent to this nonsense that you've been listening to over here in West Tennessee. Thank you for joining me.
15-year-old Sebastian Rogers disappeared from his home in Sumner County. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, everyone. I'm Rory Johnston. Like you, we have followed this story closely and hope Sebastian will soon be found safe. Well, tonight we share this update. The teen's father tells News Channel 5's Jason Lamb even 1 month later, he has not and will not give up hope.
Wearing a ribbon of his son Sebastian's favorite color, Seth Rogers reflects on his son's disappearance nearly 1 month later. As this search has gone from hours to days to now almost a month, how are you holding up?
I didn't even realize it had been a month yet until about 3 days ago when I looked at a calendar. To me, it's just one big day, and it hasn't ended. And it's not going to end until I have my son back.
After law enforcement scaled back its search, the United Cajun Navy, the same group that searched for missing Mizzou student Riley Strain, is now helping with the search effort for the 15-year-old boy with autism, who authorities say wandered away from his Hendersonville home. There's been no trace of the boy ever since. I'm curious what you would say to investigators, to some people watching now, who would say that kids just don't vanish without a trace, implying that there must be some kind of foul play involved. What would you say to them?
Foul play is still negativity. He's out there. We just gotta find him. Stop making excuses. You know, if there's foul play, we'll find out after we get a hold of him. We gotta talk to him. He'll tell us what happened. We just gotta find him first.
And let's just be clear for everyone watching. Do you have any knowledge whatsoever about your son's disappearance?
I don't. I found out over an hour after his mother found out he was gone.
With his son still missing, Rogers urged neighbors once again to check their properties, even places you'd think someone would never go.
He's going to be in the weirdest place in the world because that's my son. You know, people are going to be like, oh, well, we're not going to check this, but you better check it. Because knowing him and his curiosity, he might be there.
He might be there, an unending hope that Sebastian's father is still holding on to. Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
All right, everybody. News Channel 5, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. Let's get down to business. Thank you so much for tuning in to this network. You all know I'm going to give you the business as I did in the live stream yesterday. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this, for joining me. Looking a little rough today. Please don't mind the queen. Thank you all so much for joining me. I've got 209 in the room. God bless all of you. This is a continued conversation pertaining to a little boy. I'm trying to get my light together. A little boy missing. 15-year-old teenager. Anybody who watched the live stream last night, I want to thank you for tuning in. You held in with the queen at 3 hours plus. I gave them the business. I let Nancy Grace give her commentary. I interjected in between because it makes it easier for me to remember what to talk about and to address. That damn interview with Nancy Grace told the story. If you did not know who the Proudfoots are, you know who they are now. They are some dirty motherfuckers, and I'm saying it to your face. You two are two dirty, lifeless motherfuckers. You know what happened to that boy. Ain't no way I'm going to sit here and believe he crawled somewhere, he fell in the river, he fell in a pond. Just like you told Nancy Grace that pond was knee deep. How did you know that? You've been over there looking around? You've been over there, what, playing footsies with the pond? The fact that you told Nancy Grace they weren't going to find any forensics in your house. You remember that, Chris? You remember saying that last night? Oh, forensic ain't going to come up with nothing. Oh, them people trampling in my house, trampling. What you say? Say it again. They ain't going to find nothing. You said that on a live broadcast. This is why a lot of you want the people to talk, because you know eventually they'll fuck up and they'll tell on themselves, and he did. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, please get out my chat with the nonsense queen. I ain't in the mood today. Please carry it on. I ain't in the mood today. If you don't have anything relevant to say, remove yourself from the chat. I'm not in the mood today, okay? I got shit to do today. So I ain't got time. This is going to be I got to get this information out, on to the next. You told on yourselves. You told on yourselves during that live broadcast with Nancy Grace. She grilled your ass to a T, and you fell for it. And you fell for it. See, them other YouTubers obviously didn't ask the right questions. And I frankly feel like this. How many times can you keep spinning the same story to a news broadcaster, to a TV host, whomever you're talking to? Good Morning America, Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, it's all the same. How many times can you keep telling the same story? How many times can you keep telling the same story? It's going to get old to keep saying the same damn thing over. And you stupidly went on Nancy Grace and told on yourself. You lied about them damn lights, security systems. You couldn't decide if you're going to work, not going to work. You couldn't decide on anything. You tripped up, both of you. That's why I was laughing during the live last night, because I was like, do you see how stupid these people are? You're not talking to the Father. Let's address that, because that's the title of my video. Why are you not talking to Seth? Please explain to the general audience why you are not speaking to the Father. I'll wait. You're not speaking because you know you can't explain how that boy got out your house. You checked out. Okay? You checked out. You checked out. You probably have checked out a long time ago. Somewhere down the road, Katie, you checked out of child rearing, and you should have handed that child over to somebody else. If it became too difficult for you to raise him or deal with him or be bothered with him, care for him, love him, whatsoever, you should have checked out. Because I got a feeling that's what this is all about. You have been tired of taking care of a 15-year-old autistic child. That's what this is about. And you didn't want to be the parent that's out there in La La Land not contending to the child. Because a lot of you are trying to put this together and say, well, why she didn't give him to the father, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's not about that. It's not about handing him over. It's about how it looks if I hand him over. It's how it looks if I check out. See, that's a sane person's ideology. Oh, just give the kid away. Just give the kid to the father. Just give the kid to the grandmother. It's deeper than that. I can give the child to the father, but I don't want to be bothered with him. Ding, 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 ding. It's deeper than just giving the child to Seth. You're still going to expect me to deal with him. It's how it looks. I don't want to deal with the 15-year-old anymore. I don't want to be the mother to him anymore. You're going to expect me to still call him, video chat, Skype, visit, pick him up. I don't want to do it. And I don't want you all talking shit about me. I don't want you all gossiping about me. I don't want you all saying, well, why doesn't Katie call? Why doesn't Katie visit? And then the little boy will probably be saying, where's my mommy? I'm trying to call her. She won't answer. She wanted to be free. Damn. Well, child support, whatever. I want to telling you, this was the master plan all along. Packed up the camper, got the fuck out of Dodge. And you know damn well these people are spending a lot of money to live in that house. There's no telling how much they pay in the mortgage. They're paying for that camper. They're paying for her Infinity truck. They're paying for his big boy Chevrolet truck. He has to pay wherever he stays at a campground or wherever with that camper now. You all better wake up. These people have been blowing money. And guess what? You got one mouth less to feed. She stopped working. Where you all think the money's going to come from to still pay for the damn house back in Hendersonville, Tennessee? You still going to probably have to pay a mortgage unless they bought the house outright. I don't know. He may have paid for the house in full. I can't say. So either way, you still got due bills. Let's just say that. Even if the house is paid for, you still got to pay house insurance. You still got to pay taxes. You still probably got to pay for these trucks, camper, pay for wherever you're going to park the camper down in Memphis or wherever they're going. But that live stream told the story with Nancy Grace. They told on themselves. They couldn't decide if they're going to work, not going to work. Then she says, oh, I'm going to go search for him. Lady, you haven't searched for the boy since he went missing. You want me to believe now you packed up a camper to go out into the world and look for your son? You are sitting in that camper somewhere with your legs crossed and batting your lashes and painting your fingernails. You have moved on. Because that's what you have been wanting to do for a very long time. You have checked out from child rearing. How long it's been, I do not know. Maybe you were never attached to the child from birth, carrying him after birth. Maybe you went through postpartum syndrome, medicated. Maybe it was hard for you while you were raising the child with this man, the SETH. I don't really know the dynamics of all of that, but that's the whole point to the story. You don't know what people go through. You do not know. And many people don't bond with their children when they give birth. After birth, some people just don't bond. And as I've told you before in my live streams, most of the people I know weren't raised by their parents. There are many people who are not raised by their parents. Somewhere down the road, they bond with their parents. Some of them don't. Some of them do. Everybody's got their own story. But there is no reason to ever beat a child, hurt a child, torture a child, kill a child, dump a child. I do not believe that this child is alive. You hear Seth holding out hope, and he should because he's the father. That's not my child. That's his child. So he's entitled to feel however he wants about his child. He's entitled to feel whatever he wants about this situation. But I kind of feel like perhaps he's not in tune with what's really going on. Okay? Hold on a minute, everybody, because I'm having problems here. Can't talk and mod my chat at the same time. It's bullshit. Anyway, Seth, let me talk to you for a second, honey. And you feel free. You want to talk about your child on this network, you are welcome to call the queen. But I think it is time that you understand that Katie checked out of child rearing. Okay? Whatever you gathered from the podcasters, that was your sign. And I believe you've probably had signs before, but you have not dealt with that internally. And I think it's time that you need to start doing that because your child has been missing 5 weeks. And there's nothing wrong with having hope for your child, but I think you should know their behavior is showing you something more sinister than a child running away and passing away out in the elements. You know damn well by now somebody would have seen your child walking, somebody would have brought the child into the sheriff's department. And it's not to say the child couldn't have met foul play if he did run away. Anything is possible. But I think you need to deal with what is factual and what you can see. And what you can see is that your wife and Chris have checked out. They have literally moved. They have stopped talking to you 2 weeks ago. You have told News Nation, Mr. Enton, that they will not talk to you. Why not? That is your sign that they have checked out, and 9 times out of 10, your child is not alive, and they have done something to your child. And you need to accept that there is a reason why they're not talking to you. You have not said anything bad about them on a podcast or the news. So why would they stop talking to you and you all have a whole damn child gone? That's what's jacked up. And I think you don't want to accept that, one, your child is possibly no longer alive and that these people have done something to your child. And you don't want to be the bad person to start bad-mouthing them just in case they do find the child. He's wandered off or he died from natural causes, whatever. I get it. But this is the real world. And they have shown you. If you watch that Nancy Grace podcast, you should know by now, your spirit should be telling you, they did something to your kid, man. They have packed up, ignoring you. They never searched. They tripped over themselves about lights and floodlights, on, off, no security system, acting like they couldn't even answer the fucking question, but yet she allegedly works for a security company. Does that make any sense to you that this woman will work for a security company allegedly, but she don't got a fucking ADT or nothing at her own damn house? She don't even got cameras in her house with an autistic kid. They brought a bed in. Nancy Grace is asking about that. Don't know if that's true or not. Why? Put a bed where? Oh, we changing the furniture out? No. You pull any furniture out? No. You won't see anything. The street is so dark. The street is so dark. Well, you got floodlights on the front of the house. What are you talking about? Oh, do you have lights on the back of the house? Yes, but we don't turn them on. Then what are they there for? Do you have motion sensors? No. They got an answer for every fucking thing that don't make no fucking sense about a missing kid. You have an autistic kid, but you have nothing as far as security. Now, maybe they felt like they were in a safe environment. We don't need security. We have great neighbors. All our neighbors work. They're Christian. They're wonderful people. We live out in rural America. We don't have any robberies. Honey, you got crackheads running around. You got pill poppers. You got people on fentanyl and heroin. Hell yeah, you need security. We are in pill mill country, fentanyl, heroin, from one end of the state to the other. I'm in East Tennessee. They get high here. West Tennessee, they get high over there. They will push that fucking door in, lay you down, take everything you got, and might unalive you. What planet are you all from? What planet are you all from? We also hear in that broadcast something about the lights. It doesn't have anything to do with the little boy. Doesn't have anything to do with their house. I don't know what the hell Nancy Grace was talking about. I don't know what the hell she was talking about, the lights. That we saw that video 2 weeks ago, it doesn't have anything to do with the little boy. Okay, well, explain it. Then what does it have to do with? Something is off with the Proudfoots. Something is wrong with them not talking to Seth for 2 weeks. So I'm going to say this to the Proudfoots. When do you plan on talking to Seth? When do you two plan on talking to Seth Rogers? You have packed up your home. You cannot decide if you're going to work or not going to work. You stumbled over that 2 times or so during this podcast with Nancy Grace. You've quit your job or took a leave of absence, both of you, allegedly. You're not going to school, Miss Proudfoot, at DeVry. So when do you all plan on talking to Seth? Please talk to the Queen. I've got a little bit of time. I'm looking at the clock. I got a little bit of time. When do you plan on talking to Seth about your son missing? About searches? Please help me out. They took a picture of you in the restaurant. They took a picture of the camper. Somebody's been out stalking you and watching you. As I told people, you better be very careful snapping your little pictures with your iPhone, because you don't know these people and you don't know what they're capable of. And yes, there are people who want to help search. But you need to be careful trading on private property, federal property, because this is not a game, okay? This is not a game. So you need to tread lightly in going places trying to get the 411 about the PROUFOOTS, because you don't know them and you don't know their friends and their associates. But the one thing that has been gathered, as I said before last night, what was said in that Nancy Grace podcast was the truth. These people have told you who they are, and Mr. Seth, they have revealed to you the whole truth. They have no interest in Sebastian Rogers. And at some point, they both checked out, and maybe she's never cared for your son. That's why they're gone. They knew what they were about to do. See, this was an intricate plan. I feel this was a plan a long time ago, and it finally was exacted. Unalive the child, dispose the child, play possum, jump on podcasters who ain't talking about a damn thing, play duck, duck, goose, reindeer games, stop speaking to you, pack up the house, and move on. As for his child, no judge is going to give him custody now with a whole child missing out of West Tennessee. Checkmate. They are now scot-free and clear of any responsibilities to the universe, except between them. They are free. And Mr. Seth, you need to come to grips with that. They are finally free from taking care of your child. Now, she may have to pay child support only if you decide to ask for child support from her. But as my mind starts thinking, and I always tell you to pay attention to the details, you can't pay child support for a non-existent child. Checkmate. So you see, you can chop this story up a multitude of ways. She got rid of the child because she didn't want the child. She got rid of the child to spite the father. She got rid of the child so she wouldn't have to pay child support when the father got custody of the child. If we believe that story, stay woke. She's scot-free. Free like OJ all day. I ain't got to pay no money. Boy gone. I ain't got to pay child support. Bye. See, for every scenario they got an answer, I got one too. Child support. No judge is going to make me pay child support. The little boy's missing. Ding, ding, ding. Wayward child, rambunctious child, tired of raising him, tired of dealing with his attitude, his disposition, and getting in trouble in school. I'm done with that. I'm free. Don't you all see the writing on the wall? They are finally free. Ask yourself, what parent would pack up and go off into the sunset with their husband, knowing their child is missing? And Nancy Grace asked that. What if he did go out there wandering around, somebody kidnapped him, held him hostage, or they decided to let the little boy go, want to bring him back? Where is he going to come back to? Mommy's gone. He knows the code to the door. So let's say he stumbled up to that address right now. He's getting ready to go into an empty house. Pay attention. He's not coming back there. And they know this. That's why they've packed up. When have you ever heard of a family packing up with a missing child? Oops! Calling Don and Candace, calling Don and Candace. Only parents I can think of with a missing child. Of course, they waited a while before they ventured off into the sunset. But they checked out during the process of looking for their little girl, Summer. They never searched, never went up to the rescue squad to help, Here we bought you some pizza, some Mountain Dew, because y'all love Mountain Dew. We baked you some cookies, some cupcakes. You didn't even think to go to Walmart, bought party trays, any damn thing. Show your appreciation for people trying to find your child. Then we had all that mess with the reward fund. Don't even have a reward for the little girl. Nobody trusts to give money, donate money for somewhere else. This is a repeat of somewhere else. We've left East Tennessee to go all the way over to West Tennessee for pure nonsense. The cases are eerily similar. Little girl 5, teenager 15. Parents distant, aloof, can't stay off of YouTube, can't stop jumping on panels, can't stop calling people dirty names, can't stop chat hopping. Your child missing, and the only thing you can think about is getting on somebody's YouTube channel and panel. Who does that? Who does that? You know how many people I've reached out to with a missing person and a dead person, and they refuse to come up on my channel? They may have talked to me behind closed doors, but they backed out of talking just because they didn't want problems with family members, so on and so forth. Not these group of people. Pure gutter, straight gator trash. Laughing on YouTube channels and going live, making your own channels, drinking Mountain Dew and beer and wine and talking and cussing and fussing, but your child is missing. Your boys are in foster care. Oops, you don't even have them back. Come on over to West Tennessee, whole child missing 5 weeks. Parents done packed up, stop speaking to the bio father. Oops, ain't that what you called him, Chris? Then call him Seth, bio father. That's what you said on Nancy Grace last night. Bio father. His name is Seth. So when did you check out from Seth? Yeah. I think you all have all had problems for some time pertaining to Sebastian. The little boy may have been difficult to deal with. We get information from the step-pawpaw that he whooped the child with a belt one time because he was lying about whatever he was doing in school. Now somebody in the chat says he said something else why he spanked the child. Nancy tells him she believes he spanked the child more than once. I would concur. I think he spanked the child more than once. And the reason why I say this is because who spanks a child for lying about being in people's personal space in school? He's autistic. He doesn't have the capacity to comprehend as a regular person, okay? So you will be whooping him a lot. If that's the case, you'll be spanking him with a belt a lot. Because obviously he doesn't know any better to comprehend that I can't touch people. I can't ask them lots of questions. I can't get in their peripheral. Obviously, Sebastian did not know this. So you would be whooping him probably on the daily if that's the case. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I think you were tired of the school calling you with problems with the kid. You were tired of telling this child to stop, like you're talking to a toddler. And as I tell people, nothing wrong with getting tired of being bothered. Many people have checked out. You've heard people grown tell you, I'm just fed up with my family. I'm fed up with my children, my grown children. They don't know how to act right. They're always in trouble. They always got problems. So they move. Some don't even tell the parents, family members where they going. They just pack up their shit and get the fuck out. Everybody wondering, where's mom? Where's dad? They're tired. They're fed up. I get it. But there's a way of handling that when you are tired. You don't go sell your kid, off your kid, torture your kid, beat your kid, dispose of your kid, your wife, your spouse. It's all the same. You do it in a diplomatic fashion. Hey, I no longer can be in this space. I can no longer take care of my child. It's not for me. I can't do it. Whatever your issues are, hand the baton over to somebody else and keep it moving. I believe you all checked out. And I don't know if both of the parents were abusing this kid or not. Because as I told people in the live yesterday, 2 lives, please check them out. For all you know, this is all Katie. This is all Katie. She's the one at home with the child, not Chris. Chris really had it easy. He's gone all week for weeks, days on end. So you got to ask yourself, how much abusing would he have been doing to the child? He'd only have to been abusing him when he came home. And for all we know, that's why he wasn't coming home. Who's to say his job let him off on Friday evening and he decided to continuously stay in Memphis or the general area as not to come back and be bothered with Katie and that little boy? So you don't know. You don't really know what he feels for Katie. You better stay woke because you don't know them. For all we know, Kristen checked out from Katie and Sebastian. You don't know what he was doing while he's been on the road. You don't know if he got another woman. You don't know if he's made another baby. Hell, you don't even know if he done went and married another motherfucking woman. You all better wake up. Do you know most men are cheating out here on the highway? They do construction and truck drivers. They got women from here to New York. They're on the date sites. Ask me how I know. They got women over here, over there. They get on the profile. Oh, I'm going to Belly of the Beast now, baby. They get on the profiles and the date profile, and they put a location where they are for that day or two. Ah. I won't doubt if you go on a date site, POF, Match.com, you might see Chris's profile. Oh, shit. Come on with it, Queen. Ain't ready. Chris, have you been a little naughty boy while you been down in Memphis? You want me to tell me that you ain't been stepping out on her? Picking up you some strange kitty cat? Lot lizards, as people love to call them, which I think is a very derogatory name to call a woman. Streetwalkers, escorts. I believe if we start digging deeper, because some of you will, I'm not, you're going to find out some other stuff about Chris. That he's probably been sleeping around since he's been on the road. Now, he could be that faithful guy. Because you do have some men that are faithful. But ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. And another thing. Now that he has his wife in tow with him, let's see how long that lasts. Because you got to remember, they haven't been with each other every day. They haven't been together every day. And then you got to ask how long he's been on the road working without being in the company of his wife, how he's used to this freedom, not to have anybody nagging, not to have a little boy flipping out, acting out, and now you're going to have your wife with you every day in a camper. Possibly, Barbara. It ain't gonna work. You got a whole house that you can roam around, take a bath, take a shower, go to the kitchen, eat, go outside on the front porch, back porch. Not in no camper. This little bitty small space they're getting ready to navigate for how long? How long you think that's gonna work? 2 people in a camper when they got a whole big house in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And she's used to roaming. She's used to going to the mall or Walmart or Wally World or where the hell she was going. Because see, I've questioned everything. Their relationship with the child, Seth's relationship with Sebastian, Seth's relationship with the parents, family members' relationship with Sebastian, their relationship with relatives. She tells us that there were aunts that saw the little boy, but Nancy Grace didn't say what day. Should I ask that, Nancy? When did the aunts last see him? What day? Sunday? Saturday? Friday? The little boy didn't have a life. He didn't go anywhere with anybody. He wasn't involved in school activities. He didn't have play dates. He didn't have people coming over. She slipped up and told that. Oh, he wasn't invited. Why is that? Why was no one inviting Sebastian to anything? So you imagine what type of life a 15-year-old had, being autistic, developmental delayed, developmental issues, no friends, nobody to play with, to only come home at the end of the day to sit around with Katie. What kind of life did Katie have? Babysitting a 15-year-old autistic child morning, noon, and night. Hell yeah, she was tired. Hell yeah, she was tired. She felt alone. That little boy was alone. And then Chris is all the way over here doing God knows what. Y'all better wake up. This was the blind leading the blind. Because I'm going to tell you how it's going to go down. If and when they find this little boy, and they have enough evidence against the suspects, because I believe it's going to be 2, one's going to flip on the other one and start saying how bad it was and how they were mistreated and how they was talked and coerced into doing this, this, and this, however it unfolds. And then it's going to be up to a district attorney to decide if they believe the version or not and who they're going to give the main charge to. I believe that's how this is going to unfold. I believe this is how this is going to unfold. I don't think the child's alive. I believe these 2 hurt him, and they've disposed of him somewhere. And I don't know if they put him somewhere nice and neat, but I don't think he ran off, because I think he would have at least had some type of comprehension to knock on a neighbor's door to say, I'm hurt, I'm scared, they locked me out of the house. I would hope he would have that type of comprehension to knock on a neighbor's door and not just go wander off and succumb to the elements. Could that have happened? Of course. Now let's talk about Seth. Could he have hired somebody to go get his child? Could he be hiding his child out? Because he seems very positive about the child being alive. And so you have to decide what you believe. Because there have been times we have assumed the worst of people and they were not involved in a crime. So could it be that the consensus is wrong? The Proudfoots don't know what happened to their child. The child wandered off and succumbed to the elements or met with foul play. Or the father hired somebody to come in and get his child, meet up with his child. You're entitled to your opinion. But what I'm seeing is not a normal behavior, expected behavior of caring parents of a missing child by the Proudfoots. The fact that you have cut off Seth tells me that you have checked out of the situation entirely. That you have no plans on talking to him about Sebastian. You have no plans on getting with him on searches, vigils, any type of information by law enforcement, anything. And then that would lead me to believe that you know something about the disappearance of the boy. Because this is illogical to cut the father off. And we now learn it's been 2 weeks since he has had a conversation with you two. The fact that Chris has called Seth the bio father tells me they have checked out. The fact that they have packed up and gone out of town tells me they have checked out. The fact that if the child is alive and wanders back, there's nobody at the house for the child to even welcome him home. That tells me a lot as well. They have checked out. The fact that Chris knows DHS is never going to tell you what business he had with them, so he can tell you any version. The fact that he tells us that he's been vetted, he and Katie, by the police. They have been cleared. He didn't take a polygraph because they can verify where he was. That's bullshit. The police have told us no such thing, that you all are cleared, vetted, and that they verified that you were at work. I haven't heard the police say it, and I haven't heard not one broadcast that you two have been cleared and that they can verify that you were at work, because you being at work has nothing to do with you clocking the fuck out. You don't sit on a job 24/7. You're not working on an oil rig. That would be different to say, I can verify that Chris was on a ship or on a dock 24/7. You clock out at some point from the construction hospital or whatever you're doing. And then you go off and do whatever the fuck you do until you go back to work. So how is that verified? Oh, Google? GPS? Oh, the phone says he was at the camper from hour to hour to hour until he clocked in on his job. That ain't telling me nothing. And he knows that. So any information he gave during the Nancy Grace podcast last night is his version of the truth. Her version of the truth. They stumbled all over themselves during that podcast. They can't decide if they're working, not working. Searching, not searching. You have no intention to search for Sebastian Rogers, Katie, and Chris. And for all I know, you'll be putting your house up for sale and you'll be moving somewhere else in Tennessee or out of town. You have no liability to stay in Hendersonville, Tennessee anymore. I do believe you're behind the disappearance of your son, Sebastian. I do believe you have cut off Seth because you know he knows and he just don't want to say it out loud on television. And Seth, you have got to wake up and come out this funk that you are in, sir. I'm not in your shoes, but I know one thing. I know a dirty motherfucker when I see one, and you got two. They know about your son, honey. And you need to realize that they know. They are showing you that they know. They're showing you they know he ain't coming back. Now, turn of events, that child pops up. I can gladly say I had it wrong, but I don't think so. I'm not going to hold you all. I want to thank you for following this network, following all my stories. I put up a lot of shorts yesterday, so please go into YouTube Q and check out my shorts. I will be doing more shorts. I don't do them often, but I told myself, well, if you want to get your content out there, do a short about the breaking news, 15 seconds. Check it out. I've done one about Riley Strain. I've done some about this case. I've done one about Puff Diddy. As most of you know, the feds have raided his house. I will chop that up. I'm also going to talk about Michael Jackson, the Menendez brothers. I also want to continue my conversation about the Baltimore bridge that fell this morning. Prayers to those who have perished. Prayers to those, I think there's one that's in very bad condition. Prayers to those who are going to have to work to put that bridge back up. The divers, the people who are rescuing, the people who got to get those trucks out the water. Prayers to Baltimore, Maryland. Prayers for the Riley Strain family. Prayers for information, truthful, factual in all these cases. And please, if you do not know anything factual pertaining to a missing person, deceased person, do not pass that information as the truth. Do not waste Crime Stoppers' time with petty phone calls and tarot card readings. Stop that shit. These are real people out here. And there's somebody who has to write that shit down and write that information down. And you're sitting here with this, oh, my theory, and I had a dream last night. You're too old for that. You're too old for that. This is why these cases get put on the back burner, or they appear to be on the back burner, because you all don't know how to stop meddling. Every case, the authorities always got to go before the news and tell people, stop that, stop that, stop that. Like you're talking to a child. I don't think a lot of you don't really realize we're talking about real people. And you're just so fascinated with making up stuff and passing stuff. They've already said that now about Sebastian during the live stream with Nancy Grace. You're filming stuff, making it seem like the dog hit on something, and it's nothing. And gullible people take that and run with it. Oh, they found something. They found something. They found nothing. Sebastian's still missing. He has not been found alive or deceased. What's the truth about dog scents? Different dogs, different searches. So far, no verification. Please be careful of the content that you listen to. Please be careful of passing information that you do not know is factual about a person. This is why I always question people when they come in the chat with anything about a person. Oh, they work over here. They do this. They were married 5 times. He did this. He got a DHS case. Blah, 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 blah. It's got to be verified. And you repeating it is not verification for me. And I don't go digging in people's business because I talk about the story. I don't want to spend my every waking moment on IG, Facebook, pulling up records. I just don't like doing it because it's time consuming. It's time consuming. And in the end, as you heard Chris tell Nancy Grace, what happened in New Mexico ain't got nothing to do with Sebastian. Maybe not. But something happened between him and that wife, woman, and his child. And I don't know what's the truth. I don't know if he was a good father to the child. I don't know if he's abusive to that child, that woman, any other women, wives, girlfriends, dates, side pieces. I don't know if he's abusive to this woman here, Katie. I don't know if they drink, get high, pop pills, do drugs, smoke marijuana, smoke cigarettes. Don't know. Don't know if they beat the child, abuse this child, Sebastian. Don't know. But he has admitted that he's brash. Of course, that doesn't mean that he's abusive. That means he's just outspoken. A little bit rude. But is he abusive? Did he abuse the child? Did he spank the child? Did he hurt the child? Is the child... Did they take the child to the doctor? Any oddities, bruises, broken bones, medical, doctor visits, everything up to par as far as immunizations, anything that teachers, students notice, anything that neighbors notice, anything that family members notice, interaction with friends, family, neighborhood people, you have heard nothing. And that is bothersome to me. Not one person has spoken up for Sebastian Rogers. Let me say that again. Not one person outside of SETH has come forward to tell you anything positive or negative about Sebastian Rogers as a person, his hobbies, spending time with him. You have not heard the parents plead for him, cry out for him publicly, but yet she says, I cry all the time. I want you back. I need you. I miss you. I miss when we did this, this, and this. You don't hear any of that. You haven't even showed us his room, Katie. Why not? Let me give you a tour of his room. That's what you should have done with Olivia. Yeah, I'm saying it. Why didn't you tell Olivia you wanted to show her the child's room? Let me show you his room. Let me show you what he likes. Oh, this is his favorite truck, his favorite toy, his favorite game. Oh, he likes to do this on the weekends. He likes to do this after school. He likes to swim, play tennis. Exactly, Indeedo. Because I asked that during the live stream last night. You don't talk about him in a positive, enlightening manner, Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot. You don't cry, you don't fall out, you're not screaming, you're not giving us any emotion, but yet you tell Nancy you cry, cry, cry. But you've never showed us his room. You never show us what he likes to do. You never tell us what he likes to do. You don't show us who Sebastian Rogers is. Why not? I haven't touched his room. I've left everything the same. I left his bed just the way it is. Hello, Sherry, welcome, honey. I left his bed just the way it is. I haven't touched a thing. I haven't even made his bed. Was the bed made? Checkmate. Pay attention. Was his bed made when law officials went into his room? Checkmate. Was his bed made? What all did they take out of that house? Evidentiary. Soiled sheets, linen. Was linen ever stripped off the bed? Was there sheets on the bed? Was there a comforter on the bed? Stay woke. He didn't leave with a coat. It was cold. Somebody in the chat last night said it was 29 degrees. I'm running away. I don't take a coat. I'm walking away. I don't take a coat. So I'm going outside without a coat, without shoes, without a phone. Oops, you told that during Nancy Grace's podcast. He left his phone. He left his shoes. He left his coat. So he walked outside without shoes on and a fucking flashlight on a keychain. But he never ran away. He never ran away. Okay. He never ran away. Pretty much a good kid. Had some school problems. But he never ran away. That's your version. Her version. And then there's the truth. What is the truth? Did they abuse this child? Did he ever cry out for help? Did he ever tell his teachers he doesn't feel safe at home? Did he ever try to fight the parents, bite the parents, beat them up, hurt them, do malicious things to them? Was there altercation? Nancy asked that. You see, there's something missing here. And it's obvious from their behavior that there was no love in the house. There was no camaraderie in the house. They checked out. And that's why they're now gone. And if the child returned today, he'd have nobody there to welcome him. As Chris said a while ago, oh, you'll see all the people welcoming him and all the friends. See, you was telling us something then. All the friends will be welcoming him. He'd have new friends, new people to welcome him home. You remember saying that, Chris? Do you remember saying that? Sebastian will see all the love, all the new people welcoming him. Okay. So basically what you're telling us is he didn't have no friends. He doesn't have anybody welcoming him, period. Say it again, Queen. He has no friends. He has nobody spending time with him. Doing things, playing games, hopscotch, Connect Four, Monopoly, going outside, riding bicycles. He had a lonely life. And that is the worst thing that you can be, is a lonely kid. And you don't have the tools to navigate, to tell people that you are lonely because he's autistic. And perhaps he didn't know how to express himself. I don't know, because I don't know the kid. We would have to see some type of footage to show he knows how to talk. He knows how to speak. But imagine being a lonely 15-year-old autistic kid, and you can't express yourself. You can't tell people that you're lonely, that you want friends, that you want to go somewhere. You want to go outside and ride your bicycle. You want people to come over and play with you. We don't know if he could tell people. Those people know what happened to that baby. You know what happened to him. And you have checked out. And you told the world, to Nancy Grace, that you checked out and you did something to that baby. And if I'm wrong, I'll take it back. But imagine being 15, being 12, being 10, being 5, and you can't tell anybody that you're hurt, that you're miserable, that you don't like your parents, they don't treat you well. Who's going to believe you? And you're stuck there. He was stuck. They got rid of that baby. And they finally told the truth to Nancy Grace. They checked out. That they didn't love this baby. And they wanted out. And they wanted to be free. And they are now finally free of Sebastian Rogers. That's my commentary. Thank you. Welcome to... You've been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.